I am Dr. Karyesubula Robert, and I am the president of the Uganda Kidney Foundation. I work with Makerere University as the head of Department Physiology. Kidney disease is a big problem worldwide, and we have 1 in 10 people living with kidney disease across the world. It is expected that about 850 million people live with kidney disease in the world. When it comes to Uganda, studies have estimated the prevalence of kidney disease to be 20% with any kidney injury, that's 1 in 5 people, and then those with kidney disease are 1 person in 13 individuals, occurring in about 7.8%. Kidney disease is really on the rise, and it has moved from being the 12th cause of death in the world to the 10th cause of death, and it's expected that kidney disease in 2040 might be the leading cause of death in the world. So it is a very big problem. Unfortunately, people with kidney disease do not know that they have it. 90% of people who have kidney disease do not know that they have it, and the majority of them do not have symptoms. Once kidney disease is advanced, people might present with the body swelling, they might get pain in the abdomen, especially low abdominal pain. They might present with lack of appetite, weakness, because kidney disease presents with low blood levels, and they might actually also present with confusion and a few other things. But these are late symptoms. The majority of people with kidney disease actually do not have any symptoms. Factors of kidney disease which have been established world over are actually high blood pressure, also known as hypertension, diabetes mellitus, which is high blood sugar, and cardiovascular disease, particularly people who have heart conditions related to the heart and the blood vessels. But in our settings, there are other risk factors like infections like HIV/AIDS, in children, infections like malaria. Those infections do predispose individuals to developing kidney disease. Also, changes in the weather. If people live in very hot weathers, heat, stress, those things have also been associated with getting kidney disease. Of course, there are also other inherited disorders, abnormality disorders, which can also lead to kidney disease. Kidney disease also occurs in children, and these might have urinary tract infections, or they might be born with congenital abnormalities. It is very important for us to look at the spectrum of kidney disease from childhood. Parents can actually prevent their children from getting kidney disease. They have to start when they plan to have children, because how long the child takes in the mother's uterus is important. If children are born premature, before 37 weeks of gestation, they are more predisposed to developing kidney disease. Kids who are born small and kids who get sick often or get malnourished in early childhood, they are also at increased risk of developing kidney disease. Therefore, parents should attend antenatal care regularly to make sure that the children are born well and they are born at term. It's also important that parents take kids to school for full immunization, and also ensure that these children are given enough food, especially in the first 5 years. And when they get any illness, they should be taken to hospital very fast so that they get treatment. Because in childhood, it's usually infections in our setting that cause children to have kidney disease. When it comes to adults, it's basically lifestyle. They have to watch their diets, avoid a lot of fats, carbohydrates, and too much proteins. So they have to regulate what they eat. Obesity is a very big driver of all these diseases. They also have to do regular exercises. By that we mean about 150 minutes a week. This actually really means that they have to be active. They can do walk, they can do swimming, anything that makes them active for about 150 minutes in a week. Then there are those habits like taking too much alcohol, smoking, taking too much salt in food. Those things can also bring kidney disease, and so avoiding them can actually help to prevent kidney disease. Then in the current situation where we have so much sunshine, it's very important to take enough water. It is recommended that men should take at least 3.7 liters a day, and women should take up to about 2.7 liters a day, scientifically speaking. So usually they talk about 8 glasses of water, but in a weather like this where people can lose a lot of heat, people will need to take a little bit more water because the loss of water is much more. Kidney disease can be treatable, but of course the treatments are quite expensive. We have about 3 modalities, and it depends on what stage of kidney disease you come in. If it's early, it can be treated and it can actually be reversed with drugs, drinking, the habits I've just talked above. But once someone gets into kidney failure, they need some kind of support. This will come in form of dialysis, which can be either peritoneal, where water is put in the stomach to remove the toxins, or hemodialysis, where blood is taken into a machine and it gets cleaned. This is quite expensive, needing between 1 million to 3 million shillings a month. The ultimate treatment of kidney failure is actually kidney transplant, and that will cost between 120 and 150 million. We currently are able to do kidney transplants in Uganda. We did our first transplant in December, which was very interesting, but it's not an easy thing to do, and we have not actually yet done a second transplant, but at least we have the know-how and we are able to do kidney transplants now. So the best way is really to prevent kidney disease by asking your doctor whenever you visit them the status of your kidneys. It's very important that we take personal responsibility to protect our kidneys as individuals.